All right, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the first day of October 2018. Well, this is my birthday month, so I love October, and I love this time of year, so we'll see what I've got the tarot and the geomancy readings ready to go. I haven't written them up yet, but I did them, and I'm going to have to really give those some careful thought, I think, because I know that tarot reading is it's got a definite theme, and I want to make sure that I don't get real, one way or the other about it. I want to try to do it from as neutral a standpoint as possible. The geomancy reading, again, I think also patterns after the tarot reading, so we'll see how that goes. And I'm not sure exactly what focus I want to give that, if I want to do it from an astrological house perspective, or if I maybe want to do it the way I did last time, where I think what I did last time was I did it in terms of elemental energies, maybe. I don't know. I'll see. I'll see how it best looks like it's going to explain things for the coming month. Sometimes one version does it, and then sometimes just reading them straight on, okay, we're going to have this and this and this and this and this. Sometimes that's just the best way. So not trying to attach any other significance or trying to look at them through one particular lens or another. Just let the geomancy figures stand on their own. So sometimes it's just best to do that. So I look at it a bunch of different ways before I finally decide, what to do with it. And then I'm going to end with today. I didn't write it up because I wasn't sure how I wanted to approach this. I think what I'm going to do, I did a rune casting on Sunday, and I was thinking about, well, where do we go from here? Because last week was pretty upsetting. So for a lot of people, if you're a survivor, it was. I know it was for me. So kind of a where do we go from here energetically? And what I came up with, I saw a pattern in, and I created just a very simple bind rune, which, there's 6 runes, and it looks like I just took 2 of them, but when I talk about it, you'll see what I mean. And it really just comes down to very simple things. And I think when we look at this and the geomancy reading and the tarot reading for the month, I have a feeling that they're all going to be in synchronicity. There's already a synchronicity with today. Today is being October 1st. I haven't been including the year in the numerology for each day because it's an 11 year, and that's a master number for enlightenment. Well, what we have today is a 2. So we're talking about maybe a decision, which seems to be, we're in this decision-making place right now, and polarity, where we're looking also at toxic masculinity. When you have a situation where you don't have balance, where maybe aggressive energy, we've always attributed aggressive energy to the masculine side, and more, maybe not so aggressive to the feminine side. Well, within each, there has to be a balance, right? So that a masculine response, if you will, a Mars energy response, let's just talk about it from energetic terms, a more proactive response doesn't get out of control and oppressive. So you want within that masculine or proactive side, you want to have balance there. Well, the same is true on the receptive side. You want to have that same balance. So you don't want to be so receptive that you don't ever respond to anything, so passive, we see a lot of passive aggressive tendencies amongst people these days. And I really think that particularly in those folks, you're looking at this active playing out of passive and aggressive experiences and responses to experiences that they're having. They don't realize that they don't realize their own creative process in it because they're too busy reacting, right? Well, if we pay close attention to that, you can see how that whole polarity dynamic plays out. just within each one of us. It's just with those folks, it's just a little more pronounced. We all experience it. Make no mistake, it's not just those folks. Everybody experiences this. And I think that, we're starting, October, expressing that polarity in a really interesting way, lying versus the truth, believing a victim over an alleged abuser, or vice versa, or not believing the victim over the alleged abuser. Even just keeping it all as points of, possibility within the picture of an individual. You're looking at polarity between the very rich versus everyone else, because it seems like everyone else is kind of all now in the same boat. So you're looking at opposites. And what we don't understand is that they're really not opposites. They're simply telling, if you look at the whole thing, you're looking at an entire picture, aren't you? So today, being numerologically, it's a 2. We got to think about that. Think about it, and not in terms of either or us versus them, but just the whole picture of who we all are. And are we happy with that? Or do we need to make a different decision? Have the courage to make a different decision, and to pay attention to the information that's being out there, and allow it to be out there. And so everybody can just see what it is and make their own minds up. Don't hide anything. Don't allow anything to remain in the shadows. And just lay it all out there. See what it is. But that's our 2 days. So if you haven't been here, I need to have a drink of something here. If you haven't been here before, I do these little tarot and rune readings most days. Some days I don't. Usually Monday through Thursday. But yes, on Thursday of last week, we had those hearings, and they wiped me out. And I tried to get into a good headspace to do this, and I just couldn't. And so I was just so affected by it. I don't know. And I apologize for that. But usually I do these Monday through Thursday. And I'll draw a card. And if I draw a court card, I'm going to draw another card, because you just don't know with those guys. Sometimes I like to know, if I draw a card, maybe it prompts me to want to know, okay, what precipitated this, or what is this really having to do with? Most cards you don't have to do that with, but there are a few. And if I just feel like I need to do that, then I'll do that. And then I'll follow it up with a rune. One time I did 2. But usually it's just 1. I want to see how the tarot and the runes sort of, work together, or maybe inform one another a little bit better than just the single card or the single rune. Kind of give a broader picture from a different type of divination method. And I count 13 when I draw the card, because I was born on the 13th, and lots of other reasons. 13 figures into my life. I don't know why, but it does. So we're going to draw 13, and we'll see what it is. Oh, well, we have the Magician. Now, the tarot, if you don't know, which I assume most of you do if you're here, but if you've never had anything to do with tarot before, it's broken down into essentially categories, okay? It can be broken down into 3 levels. It can be broken down into the major arcana versus the minor arcana. The minor arcana includes the court cards. So we have different groupings within the tarot that tell us things, but the major arcana I look at as the soul archetype cards. So it's kind of like higher self saying, okay, these are the issues, the bigger issues you're going to be facing when you're here in form. And so it is you start out with the Fool, but then you go to the Magician. The Fool is this card 0. And the Magician is all about, you see the infinity symbol, the lemniscape above his head. You see him raising the wand high. You see the chalice over here representing cups. Oops, my light went out there. You see the, well, I don't have my other thing there. So, but anyway, you see the sword, you see the pentacle. So all elements are represented. We have all that we need here in form. We're not without tools when we come here. We have all elements are supporting our whole existence. And so we know that we have intellect, we know that we have emotions, we know that we have the ability to create and manifest, what we need, to shelter and all of the things that we've learned over time or have been given to us by others that have come here. But basically what we are is this one big alchemical experience, and we are this creative experience. We're not here just to experience or to react to that experience, but to create that experience. And so looking at this, it kind of gives me a direction maybe for what certainly for what the bind rune I'm going to show you that I did for Sunday. That gives me a little bit more positive direction for the reading for this month, because this one here is like a little bit of maybe endings of something. And then with this bind rune, it's about, I'll tell you in advance, it's about what we're going to be creating. Well, and then I draw the magician, and it really is about what we're creating and what we're going to manifest and doing things in alchemical balance so that, again, when patriarchy took hold, I know it seems cliche to talk about the patriarchy and all of that, but when you have one half of the world, okay, one gender oppressed by another gender, okay, and that's what it's been. You can look at how the priest caste, religion, the all of that, the clergy, how they have been involved. Again, they are primarily men. Once that whole thing took hold, the whole notion of the goddess presence and of women having anything to say about anything, within the tribe or clan or what have you, because that's how it used to be. You even have history telling us that Julius Caesar wrote something about it, that when he was going up against the Celtic people, the Celtic people, the Druids, that the pagan communities, so to speak, when he came up against them, you had the women, you had these vulvas, you had these Druid priestesses that would, the witches of the group, they would come, they were the seers, and they would advise the battle plans basically, and basically by moon energy, I would guess, when would be the best time to attack, when would be the best time to hold back, when would be the best time to surveil. And Julius Caesar remarked that it was incredible that they did this, and it worked, so there was a time when women even were helping out with battle plans, if not fighting. You had Boudica, who was a warrior queen, and she led the battles. So you have a very different group of people that functioned in a way that was more collective and respected everyone in the process. There was hierarchy within those groups for sure, because you had clan leaders and all of that. But it seemed to be more respectful, at least from what we can tell, and we don't have a whole lot of history on it, but from what we can tell, it seems to be that was that way until the clergy took over. And once that happened, patriarchy took hold, and there you go. And we have what we have. And we've gotten so far out of balance that we just have one side that's just not even able to function because the other one is so oppressive. So that's what I think. I have a feeling the theme of this next month is going to be focused on. How do we bring a little more balance to this and more realism to our whole collective experience? And with the Magician card, that's what we're kind of looking at, I think. I mean, it's our life force. It's the beginning of our life force, which is going to tie in well with the bind rune at the end. But let's take a look at what the rune for today is and see if we can continue down this road of synchronicity. And I have a feeling we're going to be able to. Well, how I do the runes is I just let them fall through my hand in the bag. Whichever one is left is the rune that I choose. It's how I chose the runes on Sunday. Well, I chose actually one of the runes on Sunday, Dagaz, which is the end of something and the beginning of something new. There was I'm going to get to the rune grimoire here and read that, what I wrote. I can't remember who I got this from, but I tend to scour the different folks out there that write books on rune interpretation. And one of the things that I read, which I thought was, I mean, you can see Gebo in here, which is the X in the middle, which is balanced energy exchange. Okay, so right there, you know, we're talking about movement of energy, because you see the one side coming down to a point. So it's almost like it's finishing out and then it begins anew. But the way someone said it, and I wrote it down, let me see if I can find it here. Oh, here it is. Energy at its saturation becomes its opposite, which I just thought was the coolest thing ever. I mean, it's exactly what it is. It's like energy just exhausts itself and it's over, and now it can begin again. So what are we coming to a close about? What we've certainly exhausted ourselves, have we not? It's been such an emotional time, you know, one side pitted against the other, with truth just getting shattered in the middle. But then I did the rune reading this weekend, and I chose, let's see if I can get this up where you can see it. It's not getting all glary. There we go. So I have Vunyo, and then Manas, which is humanity, and the fragility of mankind, and how we come together in peace and joy and love and unity. You can see it's kind of two Vunyos together, both forward and reversed. The next one, losing my voice here. The next one is Uruz, and you can see that contained within Manas. You can also see Gebo, the X. Then we come to, let's skip past the next one, which is Ingwas, or Ingus, however you want to pronounce it. We have Dagaz, which we had today, which you can see contained within Manas, the second one, which is humanity and the fragility of mankind. So what I did, since everything other than Ingwas is contained within that, what I did was just decided to draw Ingwas around Manas. Now, Ingwas or Ingus is the seed. It can be written as two X's, one on top of the other. We have a lot of smoke out today. And why it's getting in my house, I don't know. My windows are closed. Anyway, if we are giving birth to something new, if energy is at its saturation point and giving way to something else, to put Manas inside of Ingwas or Ingus, I think what you have, you know, Ingwas is the 22nd rune of the Elder Futhark, so that's another master number. But it's known as the master builder. Okay, what are we building? What are we manifesting? And so it's also known as the seed, so it's a good rune to use in a garden bind rune. I use it in one that I have hanging around my gardens. And I've talked about that before here. But it's about fertility. It's about beginnings. It's about what we should think about, where we should put our energy. And in this case, we're going to put our energy in mankind, in humanity, in the greater presence, unified presence of all. Manas is also the 20th rune of the Elder Futhark, making it a 2, which aligns it with today numerologically, doesn't it? In a sense, we're having to decide, are we going to live in balance? You know, are we going to live in the Dagaz of it? Are we going to live in the Gebo of it, the balanced energy exchange? Are we going to allow things to progress and move and come to balance again? You know, when we give birth, I guess I should come over here. What are we going to give birth to? Are we going to give birth to our balanced self, greater self, collective self? Or are things going to stay as they are? Because to me, it just seems like we've reached that saturation point that's represented by Dagaz. We've reached that saturation point. And now we don't have any choice, you know. The energy has just been exhausted, and it's time now to move on to something better, the opportunity for something better. You know, we can see how things can get so out of alignment that pretty soon, you know, we're not talking to each other anymore. We're talking past each other. Nobody's listening. Nobody's willing to consider that maybe they've been given false information either. And that's true for any side of the equation. If we aren't proceeding from the facts, if we're believing things that aren't true, if we're believing stuff that rile up our emotions without simply looking at it from a critical view. There's the Two of Swords. I pulled that last week in one of the readings, and how it's represented in the Rider-Waite, and in many of them, is the woman's back is to the choppy ocean. You know, there's clouds in the background. She's blindfolded, but she's got her arms crossed and the swords are pointed outward. You know, she's trying to make a decision from a dispassionate, you know, standpoint, where she's ignoring the noise behind her and around her. And she just needs to pull inward and think. Well, whether we're talking about the bind rune for the month, you know, where we're basically pulling it all in and bringing who we are as humanity back into balance and allowing something new to come forth and to take hold as our foundation together. However all of this stuff shakes out, whatever the truth of it ends up being, we need to live there in truth, not in, you know, the ramblings and the, you know, chaos and the noise. So I have a feeling that's going to be sort of the theme for the month, to pull inward and out and to make the decision about what it is you think about all of this and what it is you believe. And do you believe that living in the chaos is where we need to be, or do we need to set that aside, figure out what the truth is, and then go from there? So that's my choice, but you know, that's just me. So anyhow, thanks so much for stopping by. If you're new, hit subscribe. I'd love you to do that. Come back and check out my blog over at imsteppingaside.com. It's called Stepping Aside. It's a witch blog. It talks about other things, though. It talks about cannabis and Reiki, being an empath. There's a grimoire on it. There's a materia medicas. There's an herbalism section, you know. So check it out. See what you like about it, and hopefully you find something interesting. I wrote the whole thing, so I'm kind of proud of it. But think about the whole idea of balance for the day and for the coming month, and check out the tarot and the geomancy one. They'll be up here soon, the next probably today or tomorrow, both of them will be up on the blog. So check that out for the coming month if you're interested in stuff like that. If not, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks again for stopping by. I'm Jan Erickson. This has been Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune, and blessed be.